Brain of Britain, the nationwide general knowledge contest, chaired by Russell Davies.
Thank you, and hello. It's the 10th of our 12 Brain of Britain heats today, and we're rapidly filling up the places in our semi-finals, which begin in a few weeks' time. Today's winner will go straight through to the semi-finals, and who knows, there may be a place for others too, if they get enough points to qualify as top-scoring runners-up. Let's meet our quartet of brains today.
Hello, I'm Catherine Beresford. I live in Penkridge in Staffordshire, and I'm a retired university secretary.
Hello, I'm Harry Shaw. I'm a student from Cheltenham.
Hello, I'm Martyn Smith, Customer Advisor from Croydon.
Hello, I'm David Stainer, a Tax Advisor from Hertford.
And you're all very welcome. Please do venture a guess if you don't know the answer. You lose nothing, and educated guesses have stood many a Brain of Britain champion in very good stead down the years. That said, please do wait until your fellow contestants have had their requisite 10 seconds thinking time on their own turn before flashing your lights at me for a possible bonus. The 10 seconds are up when you hear this, at which point the question is immediately open to everyone else. Good luck, all of you. By virtue of the alphabet, would you start us off, please, Catherine Beresford? In the context of modern home entertainment technology, what is denoted by the abbreviation EPG?
No.
Nope.
Sorry.
Okay. David Stainer?
Electronic Program Guide.
That's the right answer, yes. Harry Shaw, over to you. In early science, what name coming from the Greek and Latin for inflammable was given to a hypothetical substance released in the process of combustion?
Don't know, I'm afraid.
Okay, David Stainer?
Phlogiston.
Phlogiston, yes. In this view, the phenomenon of burning, now called oxidation, was caused by the liberation of phlogiston, with the dephlogisticated substance left as an ash or a residue. Martyn Smith, in what figure of speech are a pair of opposed or markedly contradictory terms placed in conjunction for emphasis?
Oxymoron.
Yes, the word is Greek for pointedly foolish. When Andy Warhol called himself a deeply superficial person, that was quite a good oxymoron. Which ancient Mesopotamian poem, regarded as perhaps the earliest known great literary creation, was recorded on clay tablets in the extinct language Akkadian or Assyro-Babylonian, and is thought to date from more than 2,000 years BC. Out of time, David Stainer?
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yes, Gilgamesh was the king of the Mesopotamian city-state of Uruk. And it's David Stainer's turn. Which American city, known as the Paris of the Midwest, was founded in 1701 by Antoine de la Motte Cadillac?
Detroit.
Yes, it was. A clue in there, of course, in the Cadillac or Cadillac. In what situation would you use the safety precaution known as the Dutch reach?
Someone is drowning.
No. Does anyone? Yes, Catherine Beresford.
It's in the car when you're undoing a safety belt.
That's pretty well right, yes. I mean, it's slightly more complicated. The Dutch reach is a technique where a driver opens the car door with the hand furthest from the door, forcing them to turn the body and look over their shoulder, and thus ideally spot any cyclists approaching from the rear. But your answer will do. Here's the score at the end of the first round. Harry Shaw yet to score. Martyn Smith, Catherine Beresford, 1 apiece. David Stainer, 4. Straight back to Catherine Beresford. What was the real name of the Second World War propagandist with the nickname Lord Haw-Haw?
William Joyce.
Yes, his broadcast opened with Germany calling, spoken in his idea of an upper-class English accent. What name from the Latin literally meaning two-winged is given to the order of insects that includes the two-winged or true flies? Not coming. David Stainer.
Diptera.
Diptera, yes, right answer. Harry Shaw, then. In the USA, there are 2 events highlighted in the federal holiday calendar in January. One is New Year's Day. The other is an annual holiday in celebration of which person?
Martin Luther King.
Yes, celebrated on the 3rd Monday in January. What is the surname of the singer Rihanna?
Fenty.
Fenty, F-E-N-T-Y, yes. Which London tube station on the Piccadilly line was renamed for 48 hours shortly after the 2018 FIFA World Cup?
Southgate.
Yes, which became Gareth Southgate, just for that time. In zoology, what name, according to the Encyclopaedia Britannica, is given to the spontaneous interruption of the development of certain animals marked by reduction of metabolic activity?
Don't know, I'm afraid.
Okay, David Stainer knows, yes?
Hibernation.
No. Any more offers? No, they're not. It's diapause, typical of insects and mites, but also observed in snails and crustaceans. It's not the same as hibernation, although some of its outward signs are similar. Martin Smith, your question now. Under what brand name are guitars designed by the pioneer Lester William Polsfuss known?
Les Paul.
Yes. Which youth organization, whose emblem features an anchor with a rope and cross, has the motto "Sure and Steadfast"?
The Boy Scouts.
No. Catherine Beresford.
Boys Brigade.
The Boys Brigade, founded in October 1883 by William Alexander Smith, yes. And David Stainer's turn. The presidents of the Cambridge Footlights Club in both 1967 and 1975, one British and one Australian, went on to become well-known comic writers and entertainers and shared the same first name. Which name?
Clive.
Yes. Do you know who they were?
Well, Clive James, and I just can't think who the other...
No. Well, you've got the right answer anyway. Clive James and Clive Anderson are the ones. Yeah. I joined the Footlights on the same day as Clive James in 1964. Don't tell me how long ago that was. Which 4 letters begin words that mean the membranous sac that encloses the heart, a protective tissue formed in roots and stems of plants that have undergone secondary thickening, and the point in a planet's orbit when it is closest to the sun?
Perry.
Yes, pericardium, periderm, perihelion. Prince Mishkin is the character described somewhat less flatteringly in the title of which 1860s novel by Fyodor Dostoevsky?
The Idiot.
Yes. Large, discolored spots dispersed over the whole surface of the body, swelled legs, putrid gums, and above all, an extraordinary lassitude of the whole body, especially after any exercise. Which disease is being described in that account of 1741?
Bubonic plague.
No. Catherine Beresford?
Smallpox.
Nope. Any disease? Yes, Harry Shaw?
Measles.
Not measles, no. Martin Smith, have a go.
Typhoid.
No, it was scurvy. The horrible scurvy. End of another round. Martin Smith now has 2, Harry Shaw, Catherine Beresford 3 each, and David Stainer 8. All right, Catherine Beresford, back to you. And here's some music. I'm going to let you listen, and then I'll ask you about it. That was the theme to which short-lived BBC soap featuring such well-remembered characters as Bunny and Fizz?
A Year in Provence?
No. David Stainer knows.
El Dorado.
It was El Dorado, yes, executive produced by Verity Lambert, who had scored such a spectacular success with Doctor Who some 20 years earlier. El Dorado sadly became almost a byword for a TV flop. I was there for the last 2 days of filming. It was a bit sad, I'm afraid. Now, Harry Shaw. Vatnajökull is the biggest of its kind in Iceland, and indeed the biggest in the whole of Europe. What is Vatnajökull?
Is it a waterfall?
It's not, I'm afraid. David Stainer.
Glacier.
Yes, it's a glacier, and it covers 8% of Iceland's landmass. Martyn Smith now. The A2 from London to Dover roughly follows the course of which Roman road?
Watling Street.
That's right. The American poet E.E. Cummings, who always used lowercase letters for his name, is recognized as one of the most innovative and radical literary figures of the 20th century. What four names do the letters E.E. stand for?
Edward Eldritch.
No. David Stainer?
Edward Estlin.
Estlin is right. E-S-T-L-I-N. Well done. And it's your question. Who, with 28 medals, is the most decorated Olympian of all time?
Phelps.
Phelps, Michael Phelps, he's the one. 23 golds, 3 silvers, 2 bronzes for the American swimmer known as the Baltimore Bullet. What was the real first name of the American crime writer Mickey Spillane?
Michael.
It wasn't, I fear. Harry Shaw.
James?
No. Martyn Smith.
Richard.
No. Catherine Beresford. Pick a name.
Edward.
No, it was Frank. Frank Morrison Spillane in full. And that's the end of another round. Now, this is interesting. Martyn Smith, Harry Shaw, Catherine Beresford all have 3. David Stainer has 12. Okay. Right, with those numbers in mind, this is the point in the quiz where we think our brains have earned a few minutes respite, and we'll give them a chance to rest their buzzer fingers and work as a team rather than as rivals. I'm about to give them a pair of questions sent to us by a Brain of Britain listener, hoping to beat the brains. It's listener Paul McCarthy whose questions we've chosen to try out on the brains today. And if between the 4 of you can't dispatch Paul's questions adequately, he'll be getting a book voucher prize. See what you make of Paul's questions, which are both literary in theme. Question 1. We're all familiar with 1984, the great dystopian novel by George Orwell, published in 1949. But which Lancashire-born novelist wrote 1985, published in 1978?
No.
Lancashire born. What about Jeanette Winterson?
I don't.
Sounds
Raymond
good.
Briggs, is he a novelist?
I think he might have been Lancashire.
I think he might have been too, and it's the kind of, I don't know whether you call him a novelist, but he's a graphic novelist, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know, those are my only.
1985.
Raymond Briggs.
Ah, didn't think of him. No, I'm afraid not. It was Anthony Burgess. Oh. Yes, it's a book of essays and short fiction that Burgess intended as a direct response to the themes of Orwell's novel 30 Years On. Okay, we'll go on to question 2. Which Yorkshire-born novelist wrote the novel 1983, published in 2002?
Yorkshire.
It's David Peace, isn't it? It's one of the
Okay.
Red Riding.
Right.
I'll take your word for that, David.
David Peace.
It was David Peace, yes. Part of a quartet of crime novels set against the backdrop of the Yorkshire Ripper investigation, known as the Red Riding Quartet. And all 4 of the books in the series have years as titles. The others are 1974, 1977, and 1980. So well done, Paul McCarthy. Thank you for your questions. And because our brains didn't answer the first one correctly, we'll be sending you your prize very soon. In the meantime, from our audience here in the Radio Theatre, please accept this 1984 Decibel round of applause. The email address for your questions, suggestions is brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk, or you can use the Contact Us link on our webpage. If you'd prefer to send them in on paper, you can address them to Brain of Britain, BBC Dock House, Media City, UK, Salford, M50 2LH. We look carefully at everything we receive and we'll store up the best ones for use later in this series or next year. Let's get back to the contest then. Fingers back on buttons, everyone. It's your turn to start the next round again. Catherine Beresford. What title did director Peter Jackson give to his film in which original First World War footage from the Imperial War Museum's archive has been colorized?
I've seen this as well.
No, not going to come. David Stainer.
Anzac.
No.
Can't remember.
The other two are shaking their heads. No? Well, they called it, and mistakenly in a way, I think, They Shall Not Grow Old. The title is a slight misquotation, slightly unfortunate, from the poem For the Fallen by Lawrence Binion. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. But it's a remarkable piece of work, including the soundtrack. Harry Shaw, we come to your question, and you're about to hear a piece of commentary by a voice which may be familiar.
There will be stoppage time, that's true, but he's blowing now, and Italy have won 3-2, and Brazil go out. Italy are in the semi-finals with a hat-trick by Paolo Rossi, and Brazil, the great artist from South America, who came back twice, couldn't come back the third time. And it's the Italian players who celebrate.
Who was that legendary commentator and national treasure?
I don't know, I'm afraid.
Ah, right. Martyn Smith.
David Coleman.
No. David Stainer.
John Motson.
It was John Motson, yes. It's slightly distorted sound, I know, but that was him back in 1982. Martyn Smith, regarding the supposed existence or non-existence of what, did the late Sir Peter Scott comment, I keep an open mind like all good biologists, all good scientists come to that?
God.
No. David Stainer.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Yes. You're right. In 1975, together with Dr. Robert Rhines, he published a proposed name for the animal in the journal Nature, Necitaras rhombopteryx, which it was quickly pointed out can be reworked as an anagram for monster hoax by Sir Peter S. Possibly a coincidence, but I really couldn't say. David Stainer, your own question. The Iguazu Falls are on the border of which two countries?
Argentina and Brazil.
Those are the two, yes. Upon seeing Iguazu, the United States First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt reportedly exclaimed, "Poor Niagara." The Serbian football club, Crvena Zvezda, is usually known in English by which three-word name?
Red Star Belgrade.
That's right. After initially turning him down, which Jane Austen heroine eventually marries Captain Frederick Wentworth?
Eleanor Dashwood.
No. Now, Harry Shaw?
Elizabeth Bennet.
No. Catherine Beresford?
Emma.
Not Emma. No. Nobody knows. No. Anne Elliot in the lesser-known Persuasion. The end of another round, and still we have the situation where Martyn Smith, Harry Shaw, and Catherine Beresford have 3. David Stainer has 16. Right, Catherine Beresford, back to you. Despite its name, a hundredweight does not weigh 100 pounds, in the UK at least. What is its weight in pounds avoirdupois?
144.
No. Martyn Smith?
92.
No. David Stainer?
112.
112, yes. In the USA, meanwhile, the so-called short hundredweight is used, which is much more boringly 100 pounds. Harry Shaw, Jez and Mark were the two central characters in which TV comedy series that ran between 2003 and 2015?
The Office US.
No. David Stainer?
Peep Show.
Peep Show, starring David Mitchell and Robert Webb. Martyn Smith now. It's your turn for a piece of music, and it's a pop hit from 1990. Your question will come afterwards. Now, that song, Dirty Cash, had a vocal performance by Melody Washington, but it was credited to The Adventures of who?
Stevie V.
Stevie V, short for Stevie Vincent, the British dance producer behind its success. The annual grand final of Australian rules football is traditionally played at which cricket ground?
Melbourne.
Yes, the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground. The ore of iron known as magnetite, with the formula Fe3O4, used to be more commonly referred to by which 9-letter word?
I only know it as that, I'm afraid.
All right. No, David Stainer?
Hematite?
No. Catherine Beresford?
I think it's 2 words. Fool's gold.
No, it's lodestone. Also magnetic iron ore, but lodestone was the one we were after. David Stainer now. Which probably legendary figure whose name has passed into the language was supposedly a person of weak intellect who lived in a Leicestershire village and who in a fit of rage rushed into a stockinger's house and completely destroyed 2 knitting frames in about 1779?
Ned Ludd.
Ned Ludd, from whom we get the word Luddite, of course. Now, initials here, MEPM McMahon was president of which country from 1873 to 79?
Sorry, what's the surname? McMartin?
McMahon.
Australia?
No. Harry Shaw?
Canada.
No. Worth a guess, folks.
New Zealand.
Catherine Beresford says New Zealand? No. Martyn Smith?
South Africa.
No. Amazingly enough, it was France. His forenames, and indeed his 4 names, were Marie-Edmé Patrice Maurice McMahon. Yes. End of another round. Harry Shaw, Catherine Beresford still on 3. Martyn Smith now 5. David Stainer, 19. And this, folks, I have to tell you, has got to be the final round of the contest as we return to Catherine Beresford once more. What's the title of the sequel to Robert Graves' novel, I, Claudius?
Pompeii.
No. David Stainer?
Claudius the God.
Claudius the God is right, yes. And we come to Harry Shaw. Which popular British comic paper was founded in Newcastle upon Tyne in 1979 by Chris Donald?
I don't know.
Okay, Martyn Smith?
Viz.
It was Viz, yes. Regular characters included Roger Melly, the man on the telly, Finbar Saunders, and Sid the sexist. Now, Martyn Smith, your turn. Which Nobel Prize-winning novelist's first book was called A Pale View of Hills?
Doris Lessing.
No. David Stainer?
Kazuo Ishiguro.
Yes, his most famous works are probably The Remains of the Day and Never Let Me Go, both turned into successful films. He once worked, I'm told, as a grouse beater for the Queen Mother at Balmoral. Didn't we all? David Stainer, there's an extract for you to listen to now, and it's a piece of early music with a question to follow.
Ubi antifati
pioneering 12th century German abbess was the composer of that piece?
Hildegard of Bingen.
It was. How could it be anyone else? Yes, a very talented poet and composer. What name is given to the conceptual window, otherwise known as the window of discourse, describing the range of possibilities that the public will consider in any given situation? It was named after the senior vice president of the Mackinac Centre for Public Policy.
The Overton window.
The Overton window. Joseph P. Overton of the Mackinac Centre for Public Policy proposed the idea that there is a narrow range of possibilities, a window that the public will accept, and that the success or failure of any political proposition depends in part on fitting this window. I'm surprised we didn't hear more of that in the toils of Brexit. You know, there we are. Which is the only work known to have been signed by Michelangelo Buonarroti?
The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
You can't have signed that, because that's not what it says here. Harry Shaw?
Last Supper.
No. Catherine Beresford?
Pietà.
The Pietà in St. Peter's, yes. It's signed on the ribbon on the Virgin's bosom. You're right. Well done. And that brings us to the end of today's Brain of Britain contest, with the final scores looking like this. Harry Shaw 3, Catherine Beresford 4, Martyn Smith 6, David Stainer 23. Well, very well done, David Stainer. That was what you call a galloping victory, and we'll see you again, of course, in a few short weeks at this semi-final stage. If you'd like to apply for a future series, you can contact us via our website or by emailing brainofbritain@bbc.co.uk to request an application form. We'll be back with another 4 potential Brains of Britain next week. I hope you'll be able to listen. Thanks for joining us today, and goodbye.